I know this is a pregame show, but I'm giving you the latest slop to eat up during trade season on the other side of this. Psychos and sickos unite for a Pistons Suns Round 2 edition of the PHNX Suns pregame show. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. Just the three of us here in studio for pregame. S will be back for postgame. Steven will call in for the post-mortem from the morgue. I'm Eric. That's Gil. We got the freckled mama behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen as the Phoenix Suns look to make it 2 in a row at home, and even the season series against the Pistons. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. We'll get to the injury report, Jalen Green, Colin Gillespie, updates from Jordan Ott, all of that. First things first, Gil, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, man. I know last on Tuesday my feelings were hurt. My feelings are in a better spot today, so we're good.
Why were they hurt? Oh, because
I don't remember.
I'm confused.
Look, we watched a certain game.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry, I forgot that Wake Forest had a basketball.
I wish
team.
I could forget.
That was the most egregious performance of all time. I thought you were talking about something Suns related.
No,
I was like, okay,
no.
Which we'll get to Jalen Green here in a second. I do want to just give a little nugget to everybody who's joining us here for pregame on a Thursday night. I put out a tweet that was just Jamari Bouye highlight, and it just said, "This dude's so cold." And right before we went on air here, a certain power forward liked that tweet. A certain trade target power forward liked that tweet. Jeremy Sohan, who has also posted some weird Suns-related things in the offseason, hit that like button on the Jamari Bouye tweet. So take that for what it is.
I mean, maybe he knows something we don't know. Maybe he'll be in a uniform here by the end of next week.
Stefan or Steven in the chat says, what time is it in Phoenix right now? 24-hour format, please. I always confuse AM and PM. I assume 19 hours. It would be 18:30 p.m. 18:30 p.m. But we've been watching 24/7 on the Jalen Green injury front. Let's go ahead and get into the injury report. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. For the Suns, Jalen Green is out for the third straight game with right hamstring injury management. Devin Booker continues to be out. We all expected that. And Colin Gillespie was a game-time decision with a right-hand sprain. The good news is Colin Gillespie will be suiting up. Colin Gillespie will be playing tonight. This is head coach Jordan Ott on all of those injuries.
Colin just, it is going to be, he has to go out, warm up, see how it feels. But he's been in a good place, and we'll just see exactly what that pain feels like. Obviously he wants to play. And then Jalen, it's the same thing. It's obviously got work today. Everything's in a good place. Keeps trending in the right direction. Hope to see him out soon, but we're going to put him in a good place to, when he gets out there, he feels good about it. So it's still a day-to-day type of thing.
Still a day-to-day type of thing. I mean, I was telling you before the game, like, he's mastered the coach speak. Are you worried at all that this is now the third straight missed game for Jalen tonight?
Not yet. I think we've kind of talked about it. I even tweeted about it. First end of a back-to-back. We saw it with Grayson coming back in Houston a couple weeks ago. We saw it with Jalen coming back last week in Philadelphia. This team usually brings guys back on the second end of the back-to-back. Now, if he's unavailable tomorrow against the Cavs, that's when I'm like, a little concerned about everything. Yeah. And if and I would probably put my panic worry level at maybe like a 6 out of 10 if he doesn't play tomorrow. But then if he doesn't play at all during this homestand, I'm back closer to 9 or 10.
Yeah, not at all during the homestand with right hamstring injury management would be rough and
Right.
completely unexpected. I expect him to play tomorrow against Cleveland. I wasn't too surprised he didn't play tonight. I always felt like there was a chance that he plays tonight, but it's a back-to-back.
Mhm.
It's the first night of a back-to-back. We know they like to bring guys back on the second night of a back-to-back because there was no way he was playing both of these. Right now, of course, there's the argument to where if you play him tonight, he gets an extra day of rest in between those two games, but the last time that he played on 2 days rest between Philly and Atlanta was obviously the Atlanta game where he re-hurt or whatever he did. His hamstring got tight. I don't like saying he didn't re-hurt it because if he didn't, then he wouldn't be out, right? Something happened with his hamstring. I wonder if part of what they need to do for him is kind of keep him on okay, 1 day break and you're back. Okay, 1 day break and you're back. You don't sit for too long, but you don't play back-to-backs because if you don't play tonight, which he's not playing tonight against Detroit, you play tomorrow against Cleveland, a day off, and then Sunday against the Clippers, a day off, and then Tuesday against Portland, a day off, and then Golden State, a day off, and then Philly. And then by that point, you're going 2 days off before Dallas and a back-to-back Dallas OKC. Then you're at the All-Star break, right? So that seems like a pretty good runway of, okay, you're playing every other day at that point and no extended layoffs because say what we want, we cannot worry about it. We cannot hit the panic button. It's definitely been tricky to get him to play with his hamstring.
No, for sure. And when you outlined the schedule and upcoming schedule and thinking about getting to some type of cadence, the biggest thing I kept thinking is there needs to be some type of breakthrough where it's like, hey, we can get him out there. One, like the first thing is we've seen him have full performances. He's played 2 separate games, right? Next thing is stringing that together. See him play 2 consecutive games because he hasn't done that yet, which not even ragging on him. That's just the fact of the matter. And if you can get through that, I think that'll do a lot for him getting the peace of mind and that like, man, I've come back twice now and had issues in my second game back. So if they can kind of turn a corner with that as far as him just being on the court, being comfortable and having just, I guess, eventful or non-eventful times with him on the court with nothing happening, no setbacks, I think that will turn the corner and make us feel confident and also him feel very confident.
Now, of course, you're going to miss him tonight. You still have no Devin Booker. Hopefully, Book and him are playing together again by Golden State, Philly, early February. Obviously, the trade deadline is coming up pretty soon. We'll see Jeremy Sohan here pretty soon as well. Tonight, though, Colin Gillespie in for the Suns with a right hand sprain. If you follow Espo on socials, he posted a picture of what that wrap looked like. Very interesting wrap. I mean, obviously, like you've played and you saw it, you kind of said it looked strange. Have you ever seen a hand wrap the way that was wrapped?
No, I haven't, because I'm trying to figure out, and this is something that we talked about, like when he sprained his hand, like did he sprain like something in his palm? Is it like, I don't really understand how a hand sprain works. And like, for those of you who, you know, didn't see it, it's like a bandage basically on the backside.
I'm sending the picture to Eric.
Okay, yeah, so
we'll get it up here in a
But yeah,
second.
so it's interesting because I know that was something that Jordan Knott said last game, was that they want to see how he can catch the ball. And if he can kind of, you know, we know that he's like an irritant. He sticks his hand in and pokes at people. So, you know, thinking about that and how that impacts what he has to do, a guy who's very ball dominant and has the ball in his hands a lot, I'm really curious to see how that impacts him, if at all.
I mean, it's a shooting hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're shooting.
Yeah.
I get it. You want to be able to like dribble and everything. But one thing that we've really seen the Suns struggle with as of late, not just without Gillespie, but just in general, was this 3-ball not being able to fall.
Yep.
Hopefully having another creator out there. Your starting lineup is Colin, Grayson, Dillon, Royce, and Mark. So you've got a lot of 3-point shooting around Mark Williams tonight. Is it as simple as that to have a chance against the Pistons? Because the last time this team played against the Pistons on the road, by the way, this was basically the injury report. You didn't have Devin Booker and you didn't have Jalen Green. You took them down wire to wire on the road, lost a tough one. Is it basically tonight the Suns' 3-point margins swing back in their favor when it has not been against Miami and against Brooklyn so far this homestand, and the Suns are in this game?
I think so. I think so. You think about Tuesday's game against the Nets, a team that the Suns have more talent than. The Nets made more threes, and it's the great equalizer. You can start playing math because 3 is worth more than 2. And you think back 2 weeks ago, the Suns outscored Detroit by 24 from beyond the arc, and it was a 3-point loss. And thinking about that game too, and as I watched it back, the Suns actually started 1 of 6 from beyond the arc, but then when they went on that run to take a 15-point lead, 16-point lead late in the first half, it was because they shot the ball well. Collins shot the ball well. Grayson shot the ball well. A lot of guys hit some shots, so I think that'll be a big thing because the Pistons aren't necessarily known for their ability to shoot from beyond the arc.
Right.
They were outscored from beyond the arc in Denver the other day, and Denver was a couple missed free throws away from winning while shorthanded against this Pistons team as well. So if you can outscore them by 12 or 15 from beyond the arc, I think that gets you to the doorstep of having an opportunity to making something happen.
Yeah, they are a defensively dominant team.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Detroit is just that damn good.
It's a blue-collar team.
They just are. Like, they're a blue-collar team. I mean, they're kind of like, and I don't mean this in a rude way, kind of like the evolved version of the Suns. A little bit. Obviously, people would put Detroit ahead of the Suns when it comes to championship contender, but they've got Cade, who is their star.
Right.
Everything runs through Cade. They got a couple other guys who are good at offense, right? But it's a Cade system. Duren's a finisher. You know, Isaiah Stewart's a finisher. Duncan Robinson is a finisher, not at the rim, but from the three-point line. Like, and then it's, okay, Cade. And then around Cade is just this amazing defense. And I think that leads to our credit check, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Mountain America Credit Union, the official credit union of the Phoenix Suns. A disruptive defense for, of course, this Detroit Pistons team. 104.5 defensive rating, that's first in the NBA. 89.1 half-court defensive rating, that's first in the NBA. 51.1% defensive effective field goal percentage, that's third in the NBA. And 18.6 defensive turnover percentage, that's first in the NBA. And 22.6 opponent free throw rate, that's 29th in the NBA. Now, of course, this last game, that last one really stands out, Gil, where the Pistons were getting really physical. And it was another one of those games where we sat back here and we said, well, the Suns didn't get the benefit of the doubt. They were officiated differently. The Pistons were kind of allowed to do whatever they want. The fact that on a consistent basis, they're not sending their opponents to the line is something that if the Suns want to make up the margins tonight, they're going to have to counteract.
Absolutely. And that's a big thing, handling the physicality. And they're going to be physical. This is a team that I said is a blue-collar team, and you mentioned Duren, and you mentioned Stewart. These are guys who are going to make you feel them defensively. And the Suns, how can they handle that? We just saw it on Tuesday. It kind of reached ahead, and tensions kind of flowed. Mm-hmm. And the Suns talked about how they want to be able to play physically as long as the officiating allows them to do that. So I'm really curious and interested to see if Phoenix can bring the fight first, not in a metaphorical sense, but can they be the ones that set the tone physically? This is a Pistons team who was just dealing with the Nuggets altitude in Denver on Tuesday. They played a tough, hard-fought game 2 nights ago, as did the Suns. Can you take advantage of your home court advantage as well, this environment? Pistons are a very good road team. Yeah. So there are going to be a lot of things everything that the Suns can kind of hang their hats on to be an advantage. The Pistons have a counter for it. So I think the biggest thing is playing with force and bringing it first.
Well, playing with force, I think, leads to the matchup that I may be looking forward to the most seeing go down again. And it's a guy who got the start for the Suns last game, is not starting tonight with Colin Gillespie back. That's Jordan Goodwin and Cade Cunningham, because Jordan Goodwin was a massive piece in this Pistons game that they played just about a week ago. Not just grabbing 12 boards, which is obviously great for him, but the defense that he played on Cade Cunningham. Cade did not have a classic Cade Cunningham night. He was able to move the ball well. He was still effective. We talk about Devin Booker's gravity. Cade has a ton of gravity. But as far as his shooting splits go, like, Cade Cunningham did not have a good game against the Suns, and especially when primarily defended by Jordan Goodwin. So even though he's coming off of the bench, if you're able to get Jordan Goodwin to disrupt Cade Cunningham, which, by the way, the Pistons' leading scorer last game was Duncan Robinson with 19 points. Cade had 10 points on 3 of 16 shooting, 0 of 7 from deep. He was 4 of 9 from the free throw line. That's how you know that he was shook up, right? Dropped 11 assists, but at the end of the day, like, if you hold Cade to that stat line, you should hopefully win that game. The Suns end up losing by 3. Do you feel like if Cade is neutralized tonight, that a guy like Jalen Duren can go out there and Duncan Robinson go out there and replicate their performances from game 1?
I think the interesting thing about that too is thinking about Cade. He looked uncomfortable. We've seen it before. Like
Yeah.
Shea's looked uncomfortable. Michael Porter Jr., the first time these two teams played, looked uncomfortable. And that's what I come to because
Tyler Kolek,
Tyler Kolek, uncomfortable.
the Stars.
But Michael Porter Jr. looked way more, he actually looked equally uncomfortable on Tuesday, but he found ways. So that's what I'm worried about with Cade Cunningham tonight, because players that are that good find ways, and also they remember that they struggled against teams, and that's why they kind of have that chip on their shoulder. So it won't be easy. I think he's going to be extra motivated to kind of make last performance against the Suns a distant memory, because I'm sure that that's still sticking with him. But the guys that I have my eye on, thinking about, Jalen Duren, but also Tobias Harris. He's a guy who, for everybody and everything that he is or isn't over the course of his career, he's been a consummate pro in a lot of different stops. He can kind of create for himself in the mid post, and if he can get some stuff like that, he's been doing it pretty well as of late. And then they have their own little fire department that they've got going on as well. You talk about Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, Javonte Green.
Isaiah Stewart's one of the best defensive centers in the NBA, not just off the bench.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I think the thing as far as that goes is, if you're able to make Cade struggle or make him uncomfortable again, just make sure that you don't let any of those one or two guys get a couple shots going, because that could be the difference.
I am sad that we're not getting Jalen Green versus Cade Cunningham. There's a
rivalry,
very long rivalry there between those two, and that means that they're not going to be playing, of course, against each other this season. Yeah, until the finals. You're right. And then, of course, no book against the Pistons as well. Detroit ties. But back to kind of your bench point. Right, and the other guy's point. I'd be shocked if Cade had a similar night to what he did against Detroit. Guys like Cade Cunningham come out in nights like tonight and they just get it done because they want to have a point to prove. That being said, I'm pretty confident that you're not going to be able to replicate the performances from guys like Duncan Robinson and Jaden Ivey at the same time. Ivey dropped 15 points against the Suns. That is tied for the second highest point total this season that he has dropped. He's not a guy who's going out there doing that. And some of the buckets he created in a game that was decided by 3 were really tough mid-range shots. Duncan Robinson dropped 19 points against the Suns. That is not a performance that I think he's going to be able to replicate. He actually had really good back-to-back games. He had 20 and then 19 in the 2 games that he played back-to-back, and went 19, 16, 15, 15. Like, he can definitely get up there in the double digits, but he usually caps out around 15 points. It's one of his higher scoring outputs to this season. He's averaging 11 per game, though. I don't know if you're going to get nearly, 35 points between the two of them. And honestly, I don't even know if those are the guys that I'm worried about as much when it comes to the others. Like, you look at Jalen Duren, who was on a minutes restriction when he came back last game. Look, Mark Williams did not have anything for Jalen Duren, and neither did Oso Ighodaro. 16 and 18, a plus 23. The game was won when Jalen Duren was on the court in 28 minutes last game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, Mark had such a good game on Tuesday. The momentum from that, it's going to be a tough matchup for him. We've talked so much about how he has a difficult time with floor spacing bigs. Well, listen, this is one of the most traditional bruising big men in the NBA, and it's going to be a different kind of test for him. So again, I talk about that force to bring in the physicality, and something that the Pistons toy with every now and then. They did it last time these two teams played, the Duren-Stewart front court minutes, which you might not see that many of them, but how's that going to look, especially if it's Royce or Dillon that has to deal with one of the other of those two guys. And I think that's why it's really important, the offensive glass, because if there's rotations, Cade's driving, getting downhill, who's putting a body on Duren, allowing him or preventing him from getting those second opportunities, tipping the ball live or what have you. So it'll be a big thing for Mark. Hopefully, we talked about so much about him building on Tuesday. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, Oso played a great game last time against the Pistons. 10 points, only 3 rebounds, but he's not a guy who just goes out there and dominates the boards, especially against physical types like Isaiah Stewart and like Jalen Duren. Mark Williams, 5 points and 6 rebounds, 2 of 4, only 4 field goal attempts, which again, like you mentioned, coming off of the last game against the Nets, hopefully they get him involved a little bit more as well. You just simply need more from Mark. You need him to be able to play more than 22 minutes, right? I love Oso getting 26 minutes, but I like it because Oso earned it, not because Mark can't go out there and finish it. I also think that this is a night that when it comes to establishing kind of this 3-point momentum that the Suns need to get back, Mark Williams is going to be a big part of that, because I'm sure that on the top of their scouting report is, hey, last game, Mark was one of those guys that they just went to.
Absolutely. And I mean, him as a screener is going to be big as well. Thinking about a lot of those threes that Grayson and Colin got were coming off of ball screens, and they were just taking a step into it, because you talk about, and I know we'll get into SPG's keys in a second here, where you talk about the half-court defense of the Pistons. That's going to probably be your best chance to get quality looks when you're getting off a ball screen. So set good screens. Don't set illegal screens. Can't afford foul trouble in the front court against this Pistons team. Is definitely going to be like a big lunch pail night, because like you're going to have to get really blue collar to have a chance.
Well, yeah, you're going to get blue collary, and you're not going to be able to make mistakes. And that's going to start things off with SPG's keys to the game. Key number 1, dominate the turnover margin. In the last game, the Suns had 3 less turnovers than the Pistons. It was 14-17 in favor of the Suns, but they allowed pretty much the same amount of points conceded off of turnovers. So limit the turnovers, limit the scoring off of them as well. Key number 2, early offensive flow and trust the ball movement. Key number 3, control the terms of play and tempo. I'll also add a key number 4 in there. Rebound the damn basketball.
I love that.
Which one of those keys, including the extra key, is the one that stands out to you the most?
Controlling the terms of play and tempo. And honestly, a lot of these keys, as most do, all tie in together. But I'm thinking so much about a team that is such a staunch defensive team, especially in the half court. It's going to be important for you to get some stuff in transition, whether it's forcing turnovers or just getting the ball off the rebound and getting ahead, hitting the head, running the floor well. Getting some stuff in transition is going to be a big neutralizer or an equalizer to kind of keep up and find ways to get yours against this Pistons defense. The turnover thing stands out to me as well, because the Pistons do a lot of the little things. So you get a defensive rebound, they're poking at it. They're not just getting back. They're seeing if they can like kind of play with it a little bit and like get it out of your hands before they go back. So being strong with the basketball is going to be key, because against Denver the other night, they got a couple extra opportunities just by being a nuisance out there. So I think playing strong with the basketball ties into everything too, because if you do that, then you'll take care of the turnover part.
I mean, this game is almost the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other, because like if you look at last game against the Suns, like the Pistons should not have won that game.
Right.
And how many times have we talked about the Suns are the team that always wins those types of games? The Pistons missed 14 free throws last game. They were 23 of 37 from the line. They shot 62%. Now, in fairness, the Suns shot 64% from the line. They were 16 of 25, so they took 12 less, and they shot a slightly better percentage. The Pistons shot 28% from 3 last game. And again, this is at home, right? And the Pistons were fully healthy at that time. 9 of 32 from deep for them. Right? Like, but the Pistons out-rebounded the Suns. They got those second chance points. They dominated the offensive boards, had 5 more than the Suns, 14-9 and 13 more rebounds overall. They had better ball movement, 25-21. But the Suns, you know, they held in it with steals and blocks and turnovers. And so if you go into this game tonight and expect the Detroit Pistons to shoot better from the field, you have to clean up the rebounding in that sense and say, okay, you're going to shoot better, but we're not going to allow you to get that many opportunities to capitalize on that field goal percentage.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting too, because, you know, it would be somewhat of an aberration if they shoot at a high volume from 3. I think they're 27th in the league in makes and attempts this season, but they'll shoot better.
Yeah.
And that's like, especially Duncan Robinson's coming off of an 0 for night in Denver. So I'm sure he'll try to bounce back. Yeah. Famous last words, went 0 for 8 on Tuesday. So he might be the best shooter on planet Earth tonight. But yeah, and players like that too, which we've seen conversely, right? Maybe we see a different approach, or sometimes we've seen, okay, maybe if Cade gets going, he can't get everybody else going. And maybe they take an alternative approach and say, look, we'd rather him just beat us and get his right arm tired, just shooting all day, and then like limit everybody else, because they are some of all the parts when you talk about the Spider-Man me.
And they're a great coach team.
Right.
Too. I mean, this is going to be a really tough matchup for the Suns tonight. It's been a really tough season for me. Let's go ahead and get into our pregame picks presented by our friends over at Bet365. Sorry, your friends over at Bet365. Just kidding. It's not their fault. It's mine. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342 or visit promgambling.az.gov. Thank you for not putting the earnings up there, Ayrton. Take them down. Take them down. Yeah, Gil, you hit your bet last time. Good job. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. Ayrton, though, what's going on, dude? -50, my guy?
It's the sophomore slump. I'm hitting the wall right now.
Yeah, you're hitting
That's
the
what's
Mark
happening.
Williams wall.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Right now. What are you putting your money on tonight? How are you getting out of this sophomore slump?
We're going to use OSO to get out of the sophomore slump, hitting over 12.5 PRA, my favorite bet of the season. Grayson Allen over 18.5 points. Dillon Brooks over 16.5 points. Altogether is plus 350 with a 30% profit boost.
I like that. I like that. Just see one go through the hoop, get yourself closer to zero. Gil, you're in first place. You're riding high on some early glory, and then you finally avoided going down into the negative, hitting another bet. What are you putting your money on tonight?
Saw one go through Tuesday. Hopefully I can do it again. Jalen Duren, 10+ rebounds. Grayson Allen, 15+ points. Royce O'Neal, over 8.5 rebounds and assists. Comes out to plus 340 with a 30% profit boost. So hopefully I can make it again with a pretty straightforward bet.
You lucked out on the Royce O'Neal rebounds and assists. You put a non-show bet on our friends over at Bet365, and during one of our last post-game shows, they stat corrected, and of course Bet365 paid it out because Bet365 does that, but you hit on the Royce rebounds and assists. Is that why you went back to the well?
I did, and also he combined for 14 rebounds and assists 2 weeks ago in Detroit. So
yeah, he led the team in assists last time they played Detroit, 17 there. I got a theme for mine tonight. The well will break open. Ooh. The Phoenix Suns will hit threes tonight. You heard it here first. Dillon Brooks, 3+ 3-pointers made. Grayson Allen, 3+ 3-pointers made. Royce O'Neal, 3+ 3-pointers made. At a plus 460 with a 30% profit boost. We're due for a magnet ball. We're so due for a magnet ball, man. And Royce has been so bad. Great at shooting. Grayson's shooting has not been great. Dillon's been okay shooting from deep, but obviously he's coming off of a cold stretch. Colin is back. I think that opens up a little bit. I think they need to step up tonight, and they know it. They're going to hit threes. This is what Espo has his money on tonight. He's taking Grayson Allen, 30+ points. I believe this last game that he played the Pistons, he dropped 33 last game.
23.
Yeah, he took 20 threes, which was that a Suns? That had
to, a franchise record.
Yeah, that had to have been a Suns record. Yeah, franchise record 23s. That just tanked his 3-point percentage, but they needed it. Obviously, tonight's game is going to be a tough one, Gil. That's why our Suns must-win meter looks the way that it looks. No Jalen, no Book. It's rare you see me this low. Me and Steve. Wow, Steven and I on the same page. Steven tied for the. I should have gone a 5 just so that Steven could have been the top.
That's the must-win meter eclipse happening.
Yeah,
you
and
Steven are the same for one episode.
Gil, you're at a 5. Espo at a 4. Ayrton at a 5. We all understand that you want to win this game. Every game is important in the Western Conference, but I mean, this is the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They don't lose a lot of games.
Right, they're number 1 in the East, and they're only missing 1 player. And Karis LeVert is a solid player, but you're missing who you're missing. I would feel much better about the Suns' chances if they were at full strength. And that being said, I still think, knowing what we know about this team, they can make it interesting. But again, I don't think there's that much pressure to get this done, just knowing. And also, the teams around you in the standings, you've been pretty fortunate. They've struggled a little bit too.
Now, Karis LeVert out, but I searched Karis LeVert's name just to confirm, and boy, Pistons fans are happy when he doesn't play. The first tweet I see is Pistons without Karis LeVert, and it's the 73-9 Warriors team video that I tweeted about the Suns bench.
Dang, Pistons fans, no way to treat a Michigan, man. That's messed up.
Yeah, man. They are not a fan of Karis LeVert out there. So that might help. We'll get to score predictions here real quick. Your final thoughts on Suns Pistons round 2, this time at home.
Bring the fight and be blue collar and see where it takes you.
I like that. Ayrton, do you have any thoughts on this game?
Have fun, win a basketball game.
Wow. I feel like I'm about to play a JV game. For me, you just got to get these threes to fall, and I think you got to get them to fall early, ride the momentum that your crowd's going to give you. We know that this team is going to fight and battle, but look, the Pistons were down for a majority of the last game they played. They trailed by 16, and they had a really big comeback that was really fiery, but they know that they can be vulnerable to this team without Book, without Jalen. This is a Pistons team that takes care of business, but it's also a Pistons team that still has a little bit to prove against this specific team, because without those 2 top guys, Grayson Allen and his 23-point attempts and Jordan Goodwin were basically taking you wire to wire and winning most of the time, going band for band in Detroit. Babytron was pissed. He was angry. But do they get the win tonight? Let's go ahead and take a look at our score predictions. All of us going with the Pistons. But Gil, I want to remind people the last time you and I did any sort of pregame show together and everybody picked the opposing team to win. It was the Phoenix Suns against the Oklahoma City Thunder before Devin Booker hit a game winner. Can they do it again tonight?
Listen, I never count this team out. I don't know who would be tonight. Maybe Colin.
It could be Colin.
Yeah.
We've seen weirder performances. Guys with their hands taped. I mean, Jalen Green played basketball with 4 fingers on one hand. Like, it's possible.
Yeah.
It wasn't on his shooting hand, I don't think.
Also, defensive highlights went like semi-viral on Twitter yesterday. I think he's going to come out and have another 6-steal game against the Detroit Pistons like he did last game.
The Oso Iguodala agenda is starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. The Dillon Brooks agenda? Maybe we'll talk about this in postgame.
Back up.
Dillon Brooks getting the Charles Barkley nod of approval, and some of these big aggregation accounts are saying like Dillon Brooks and Jamal Murray should be first-time All-Stars this year. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, okay, I didn't expect that. I got to make the graphic. Dillon Brooks All-Star. I got to get ready for that. And for those who are just joining it, I know some people saw on Twitter that I was going to tell people about a power forward trade target that liked my tweet of Jamari Bouye is Jeremy Sohan. So take that as you will. But in the meantime, you can follow the show at PHNX_Suns for all the Jamari Bouye highlights that you can possibly imagine. Of course, that's on Twitter and on Instagram as well. We'll be back for a post-game show. Espo will be back here with the two of us. Steven will be calling in for his post-mortem from the morgue. Of course, you could also follow the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all the magic happen at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Gil at Gil McGregor _. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY, posting Jamari Bouye propaganda. As always, we'll talk to you in postgame.
We all silly like the mayor.